So now what we're going to do is we have a small section really about connecting with the naturalistic intelligence and people who are really good with maybe using their hands and using plants and being outdoors. Now there's a number of different ways that you can do this, and this is something you can have absolutely great fun with. It might be if you're doing the program in school and you decide you want to maybe weed a certain section of the garden and add some more plants to it. You might decide, as we're going to do here now today, is to make two really simple little window boxes. And they're great because you can, again, it's that keeping care and keeping something going and watering it and minding it, but also it can be for outside or it can be for inside. So a lot of these plants that we're putting into this now will bring us the whole way through the summer and into the autumn. So it'll give us a nice window box with plenty of colour. You might not notice, but being from Wexford, I picked all the Wexford colours today. And again, you can pick colours. You might decide to have a monochromatic scheme. And a monochromatic scheme is where you're picking one colour. So all whites or all reds or all blues or all yellows. And that can be really striking in a window box. Yeah. Or in a pot. Or you might have a dichromatic scheme, which is what we're using here. We're using purple and gold. And blues and purples to go with the gold. And again, it depends on what way you want to lay it out. But as a general rule, we have a nice window box here, just not too long and not too deep. One of the most important things about whether you're using a window box or a pot is make sure you have a tray for it. Because what the tray does, it acts as a reservoir for water. Okay. It'll hold water and it'll stop your planter becoming dried out. And that's really, really important. And some plants specifically like to draw water up from the base. They don't like to be watered from the top. And as a general rule, when we're watering our plant box when it's done, we want to water the soil, not the plants themselves. To be pouring water over the plants on the top, in many cases doesn't get into the soil and doesn't really water. The water comes up through the soil, in through the roots of the plants, and then it feeds and nourishes the plants much, much better than pouring water over the top. So what we have is we have a collection here of flowers. As a general rule of thumb, odd numbers are better than even when it comes to planting flowers. So putting in 5s or 3 tends to work better than putting in 4s for plants. And you want to think about the shape of your planter. So if you're putting something, you want to bring it up to a point in the centre. Now sometimes you might use a small evergreen tree, a little conifer in the centre, which can work really, really well and grows really well. I like to put things in the planters that when they get a bit bigger, I can plant them out into the soil. So I get a bit more kind of use for them. So for example, we have a number of ivies here, little small ivies. They're great because they will always keep growing, and then you can either plant them out or transfer them to a bigger pot if you want later. They're less likely to kind of die off as well.
Would you put herbs in this, Billy?
You absolutely could. You could put some herbs and some flowering plants into it if you want, no problem at all. It's really down to, you could make a herb window box. So you could put some rosemary, a couple of different thymes or a mint. They tend to go very well. Mint tends to overtake. So mint will tend, if you're doing a mint box, I'd put 2 or 3 mints in them, and that's it. But if you put mint in maybe with a rosemary and a thyme, you'll find that the mint will overtake. It tends to just be a bit more invasive in the way it grows, and it grows that little bit faster. So what we have here, these are one of my absolute favourite little small plants, and it's called a viola. And it's like a small daisy. Or pansy. And what I like about them is they're really, really sturdy. And you buy them, now you see here, you buy them in a pot of 6. So you can use an individual pot and pepper them throughout the display. And they're like little butterflies. I always think they look like just little small butterflies popped in the middle of a display. But they're really lovely, and they have both the colours in the scheme that we're using. Now these are a verbena, and these tend to be a little bit more vigorous in their growing, and they have a lovely bit of height to them. So for these I was thinking that we might, now Anne might do her display slightly different than mine, but we might maybe try and keep them similar by putting the verbena in the middle. And one of the nicest ways to play around before you plant your plants is to keep them in the containers, and you just sit them on the box and think, well actually, what way would I like to place these? And you might decide to move them around a little bit. So we have 2 ivies for each planter.
Okay.
So Anne has 2 and I have 2, and I'm going to, let's say, experiment by putting my 2 ivies on either side. Or you might decide to put the 2 ivies right in the centre. I like the ivies at the edge of a window box.
And when they grade down?
They will then grow out. And if you want them to grow that way, plant them with a tilt.
Oh, okay.
So you're encouraging them to kind of grow in one direction or another. Or you might, as you've done, you put both of them on one side.
Yeah.
So that might be that you're putting, this is the back.
Yes, yeah.
And you're encouraging them to kind of move forward. So we're just exploring a little bit at the moment. So we have 2 of those. Now, we also have, again, these again are one of my absolute favourites, lobelia, and these grow beautifully from seed. Or you can buy little small trays of these, and they will grow into a mass of flowers.
Yes, yeah.
And they're really good trailing plants, so they're very good at trailing out over a window box. I have them in hanging baskets in my house, and they work really well.
Yeah, the colour is vibrant.
But again, it's little tiny flowers that are really strong and sturdy.
Yeah.
They can take great watering, they can take plenty of rain and wind, and they keep going. And they will bring me now well into the end of autumn, and I get plenty of colour off them. But if they go dry, within a day or 2 they're gone. So you really need to keep an eye on kind of watering them. And then San Vitalia, these are kind of again a basket or a container plant, little small tiny daisy, a little yellow daisy. Again, they're very sweet, and now you might do a number of different things. Like, so for example, Anne might take both of those and put them on either side, or she might take one of each. Do you have any preference, Anne?
I like them to be the same. Thank you. Now, is that not overcrowded, Billy?
Well, no, you see, I wouldn't think that's overcrowded because I like a nice full basket.
Okay.
I think it looks much better, and especially at this time of the year.
Yeah.
And they are fairly, there's a fair bit of growth in them. Now, if you maybe want to share one of the yellows with me and we try.
Okay.
And we take a blue each.
Okay.
So now, you can also think about them as one longer display. So, I have the yellow towards one end, and you have the yellow, so if they're going like that way, and you turn yours that way.
Oh, I see, yes.
You can see we're getting like a one single box. So if you were putting them beside each other, you're still getting that symmetry that you're looking for as you move through it. And then with these, you might just pepper them in because they're a much smaller bulb base in them.
Oh, right.
And you can add those after as we add them in. Now we've half filled, so we're going to pop our pans back in here. Or I can pop them on the table, whichever.
Yeah, and we're going to use them as we plan.
Now, so we've about 2/3 filled the container with potting compost. Now again, sometimes depending on if you're putting it outside, you might mix some natural soil into that, just to kind of, but a good potting compost will have enough food in it for 2 to 3 months.
Do you have feed in that now as well?
A good potting compost will have food in it.
Alright, okay.
So if you wanted to maybe, I tend to use things like if I'm feeding my pots, what I will tend to do is use something like a tomato food, or baby bio, one of those, and just add it in, and it really does, but only maybe once every.
And how often would they need to water this?
Now, done? I would be washing those, certainly in this well you'd be washing them every day.
Okay.
Do you know? But a really simple rule of thumb is just not without gloves. Now again, I'm using gloves and isn't. I would tend not to use gloves when I'm doing this myself. But sensory, you want to really be aware when you're doing this, soil can have a real sense of it being unclean. So that if there's any sensory impact at all with soil, use a couple of pairs of gloves. Because that means that you can feel much more confident in actually using the material and engaging with it. But when and you'll see here now when I go to the very end of mine and I push in the ivy, you want to make sure that the soil is not coming up. You want a good inch between it and the top.
Okay.
So that when you put water in it, you can get a little trough of water filling up there. You don't want it so it's so full when you water it, the water flows out of it. Because you're not going to get the same level of water retention in the plants as well. And we have more soil here that we're going to add to it as we kind of pot them up. So off we go, we're going to get going. Now again, I always wash our plants. I've had these sitting in this container with a little bit of water in it, because it's really important when I'm transferring plants into a pot, I want them nourished and I want them with a little bit of moisture in them. I don't want to be transferring a dry ball, root ball, into moist compost, because it takes much longer for it to actually root. And then when you open it up here...
And you leave the label on it, Billy?
I will add.
Yeah?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It tends not to. When you have a load of animals like I do, the labels tend not to survive.
Okay.
Now, you'll see here the roots have started to go in a circle around the base. What you want to do is just loosen them up a little bit. Help them find their direction as they go into the soil. And sometimes you'll see that it's root bound. There's loads of roots running in a circle around. Pull them out, break them off. It doesn't matter if they break, they'll still go. But so we're going to start off. I'm going to put my ivy nice and neatly at the end, and I push my soil up right beside it. Now, because I'm going in the very corner with my ivy, I'm going to go with a little viola in beside that. And right beside that then, as I go down into the soil, so I have my ivy and my viola at the end. And I'm going to do the very same up at this end. And I'm going to alternate, so I'm going to put the viola at the opposite side. And my ivy right in beside it. And the other thing that's great, when I pair them off like this, I know the viola is going to die off. And by late autumn the viola will have died off, but the ivy won't. So I can then take the viola out and add another plant in, and then bring maybe a couple of winter plants and allow that to kind of move then forward. I'm just going to get some more soil here. Now, so I verbena then into the centre. And again, now there's a really good example of where it had started to get a little bit more pot bound. So the roots, that was really ready to come out. And all I'm doing is just teasing out some of these roots just to let them find a new direction so that they're not going in a circle. I'm going to pop that into the centre there. Loads of nice compost around it. And then gentle pressure so it's well grounded. You can add a bit more soil into the top of it, there's no problem. You can keep adding till you get to the right level. Now, and again here you can really see how that one was absolutely ready to come out of that pot. But you can also see, you see the way the water is dripping out of it? So you know then that it's been well watered overnight before I put it in to the soil. Now I will, again, I'll water it into the soil, because when we do up a pot or any sort of a window box, we want to water that up. Now as a general rule, you might not be doing this inside, you might be doing it outside, because it can be a little bit messy, but I actually think that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing this. I like it getting a little bit messy in a safe way.
And kids would like that, you know, as well, even with the gloves and stuff, do you know what I mean?
The key is make sure you go around your plant and using just your knuckles, give it a little bit of a push down. Now, do you want to use one more of those violas, Anne, just to use them?
Have it done.
You've used too many, two?
Two in.
We might try and use one each, just even it out a little bit.
Okay.
I'll pop it in here beside the media. Now, so have a lovely mixed box there. So next thing you do there is you just gently with the back of your hand go around all the edges and make sure that the soil is nice and compactly pushed down, so that it's all working to give those plants lovely support if it gets a bit windy, that they're going to be, all the new roots are in contact with new soil. And that you're making sure that everything is lovely and secure. Now the other thing you can do is, and you can buy these in garden centres or just pick them up, just put some stones around that if you want.
Alright, okay.
Just sprinkle some stones around it, because what it can do is two things. A, in my case it stops the cats getting into it. And B, it actually gives a little bit of light.
Oh yeah.
And when you water it, it keeps the water in.
Retains the water.
It helps the water retain a little bit as we move through it. Now, so we have our container of water here. Put this aside. Now all of those pots are great for growing seeds. So you then keep them, if you want to get some seed trays, pop in some seeds for things you want to grow, just to get them started off. And all we're going to do then is making sure that what we're doing is we're watering in. So you're watering the new plants into the soil.
And this activity could take, half a day, because you could go to the garden centre actually and pick out the flowers, or even if you're not near a garden centre, most supermarkets do some bedding and things like that.
But also you can, do your research on the different plants that you're thinking about putting in. Make sure you're picking plants that suit the environment that you're in. So it brings in your geography skills, brings in your research skills. So now we have two very simple, nice and colourful window boxes made that are going to add some colour and some good solid Wexford colours to the As I Am offices here in Dublin, so that they'll make sure that they remember where the important counties are. Very important.
But they will be wearing their tie-dyed Cork
t-shirts. They'll be wearing their tie-dyed Cork t-shirts as well. So we really hope you've enjoyed that now today. So we've done loads and loads of practical activities today. We're going to be doing a bit more in our next section we're following on to now in a while. We're going to be looking at some weaving skills next, and looking at different ways that you can build capacity with your weaving skills. And then tomorrow we're going to be looking at two more sections that will follow on, and one of them will be really about building relationships and connecting with other people, and another section on safety and security where we're doing things like internet safety and areas like that. So till our next session.